Over the years, I've learned that art has the power to reflect what's going on in our surroundings, in our environment, but more importantly, it has the ability to change it. Social media is an important factor in my work. It allows for the communication to happen between communities that are very distant from each other. We're connected locally, nationally, and globally as artists and art communities to be able to address issues that are important to us and the work that we're doing. So it's a real asset to have that connectivity. And I find that it's really important to the work that I do because I work with immigrant communities throughout the States and abroad. My name is Margarita Cabrera, and I am an artist. All of my works are inspired by many different elements. The work that you see here in the gallery is inspired by immigration history and the experiences and challenges of our immigrant communities. Specifically, our immigrants coming from South America, Central America, a lot of areas of Latin America, as well as immigrants coming from other countries in Africa, in Europe, that find themselves in the United States. And their history, their experience is what inspires the work that I'm doing here in the gallery. This work is titled Flujo de Extracciones, and that translates to flow of extractions. And what you see throughout the work are very bright colors of purples, reds, pinks, fuchsia pink, orange, and some yellow spots, which are a result of the oxidation process with the cochinilla dye. And the cochinilla is a small beetle that grows on the surface of the prickly pear cactus. 3 adjectives to describe my work. I would say my work is community-based, so community is an important concept. And I would say the other is sculptural, so art forms that are sculptural. And another word would be social justice, so creating artworks that make a difference in our society. For more than 10 years, I've been in conversation with David Smith Gallery, which is an important contemporary art gallery recognized nationally and internationally. And finally, we have come together to propose an exhibition that is in this space today, titled Space in Between. And it is the series of soft sculptural representations of different desert plants that exist along the desert trails where immigrants are crossing into this country. The work is a community collaboration. It's titled Space in Between, and it is inspired by the term Nepantla, which is an Aztec word. It's a Nahuatl language term that refers to a space in the middle. And it's an important idea that was coined by Gloria Anzaldúa, who is a famous writer, playwright, activist, poet. She's our late scholar, who wrote a book called Borderlands, La Frontera, and she specifically talks about Nepantla as the space where marginalized communities find alternative ways and resistant ways to survive in their situation. And this is the inspiration of this work, which is community-based. So the idea of the space in between nations and the space between cultures, the space between languages, the space between our thoughts, our heartbeat, it's that spiritual space between all of us that is a place where change happens, where transformation happens, and is what inspires this work. So immigrants that come into collaboration with this work are from different states in the US and have found their way from very far away places, and their stories are shared with this project, and they are embroidered on the surface of these soft sculptures. The soft sculptures are made with recycled Border Patrol uniforms, and they are giving shape to different cacti. The work is important because it's transforming a material that represents something specific to one group of people and something very different to another group of people. To some, it represents security, control, safety, power, and to others, it represents family separation, it represents violence, it represents death. So the idea is to bring people together that have these different perspectives to engage in an artistic production together and to transform the material that means these things to something different that represents life and growth, nature, and flourishment. This work introduces the idea of mimicry, imitation, and that's important because there's always the act of mimicry between cultures as they are entering other cultures. So immigrants are constantly trying to become part of a culture that is not theirs. Hola. And that's what happens when immigrants, I believe, try to become the other culture, and it's not necessary. You know, we are who we are, and we have our own identity and our own culture, and should embrace the uniqueness of who we are without having to try to become the other culture. So the impact of this work happens in different moments. There's the community collaboration where people working together establish a more in-depth understanding of who they are and the makeup of our society in the United States. So this kind of stewardship between communities. Also, it's important to open up a space where immigrant communities can be part of the cultural dialogues that are happening in our museums, in our galleries, in our universities, and be inclusive of the experience of immigrants that form part of American history. So over time, we see a lot of inhumanity, we see a lot of insensitivity, we see hatred, we see hostility towards our immigrant communities. And I'm really proud and I'm really grateful for the partnerships built by galleries like David Smith Gallery and others that support this work that counters this hostility and counters that with acts of empathy and acts of stewardship, right, and acts of generosity, because that's what we need to be doing as artists and as citizens of the world.
Yes, sir. Here it is.